Hello and welcome to the wrap up. The Toronto Raptors, a version of the Toronto Raptors, just lost to a version of the Cleveland Cavaliers, 144-99. It wasn't pretty, but it's over. It's finally over. I got Zarar with me here. We missed last episode, so we had to put one on for this classic of a game. We didn't want the hungry fans to have nothing to do tonight. We knew that they want more Raptors content after a game like that, and so we delivered. Zarar, how was your vacation, man? And are you happy to come home
It,
with us?
it was good. It was Grenada. Went to Grenada. It
Oh,
was very
nice.
nice. Pretty close to the equator. When I picked this vacation, I just literally looked at the equator and then I moved my finger up, and I was like, "What are reasonable destinations to go?" And
Yeah,
Grenada was the first. Well, Venezuela was an option,
a
but I
little
didn't want
too
to.
much, yeah, going on there
I don't know.
politically.
I don't know what's going on there, but so I picked Grenada. It was nice, man. I asked one of the bartenders if you knew what the population of Grenada was, and he's like 1.5 million. I'm like, that doesn't sound right, man. So I went and like wikied it up, and it's like 100K. Yeah,
Wow,
it's like 1/5. I mean, it's very small. Right? So it was a lot of fun, a lot of sun in the fun in the sun, fun in the sun.
nice.
Um, but
More
yeah,
f-
and I came back to this.
more fun than this Raptors game.
It's
I
funny
would
because
I would say.
when I left, the COVID cases were like around 600 a day, like 800.
Oh,
Because
in
I left,
Ontario,
and I
yeah.
came back in like 8,000. I'm like,
Oh
what is
my God. I know. We could do a scientific COVID hour, but we're not gonna. Things have certainly gone south here though, and we're really in it, as is the NBA, as are the Raptors. But I mean, there's a couple things I guess to talk about from this game. We're not gonna keep you guys too long. I mean, let's start with the regulars, and then we can talk about any of the guys who stood out from the 10-day signees if we want to. The regulars were Chris Boucher, Yuta Watanabe, Delano Benton, and Svi Mikhailuk. I mean, the fact that your four only available players, um, or regulars, I should say, are four guys who, with the exception of maybe Utah, shouldn't probably be in a playoff rotation for the Raptors. Like,
Mhm.
it's insane the way that COVID has hit this roster. It's not just hit so many guys, but it's hit literally best guy to like 10th best guy.
Mhm.
It's pretty crazy. I guess let's talk about Utah though, because we like to start things off on a good note and only go downhill from there. I thought he was good today. Like even he had some uncharacteristic turnovers and stuff like that, but in general, like I just like when I see Utah be more aggressive and
Yeah.
like there's kind of I think some like untapped potential with some of his shot making and
Yeah.
his ability to create his own shot just like he does here. What do you think about Utah?
Well, the question with Utah for me is, does his point production scale with shots? Like, we know he's a relatively decent scorer when when he's opportunistic and takes his open threes that people create for him, or he does the nice little cut and somebody finds him, or Scotty finds him, or Siakam finds him, and he's good in those areas. The question with him is, does it scale? Like, does his production actually, if you give him a bigger role in the offense, will you get more bang for your buck? If like, will the ROI for his minutes or his shot
Yeah.
attempts be there, or is he more of a, you kind of role player who you compartmentalize, I guess, in a way, and you expect small things from him? So in this game, what I liked, a couple of plays that I liked was, I like his transition pull-ups. Like, I think if he's able to I don't know if you have that clip here, but he had a three there in the first
Early
quarter
in the
where he
game.
just pulled up early in transition and just knocked it down. Then he had, I think, another one in the second half as well. So I like, here you go. This is what I'm talking about. Like,
Mhm.
early three Utah. Can he be our? And as I was watching this game, and since it's in Cleveland, I was like, man, it'd be nice if he became kind of like our Kyle Korver, like that kind of guy for us, who's like automatic from 3 point line, while also being able to like cut and do some of the things he already does well. So on that front, I thought he was quite positive. But in that second quarter run, when the Raptors went zone and Cleveland just killed us, um, it was in that kind of tipping point moment where I expected Boucher and Utah and these guys to sort of to put up a stand and not let this game go completely out of hand. And I think that's where the entire team sort of failed, not just Utah.
Yeah, and we're gonna get into that because I was a bit disappointed too. But like going back to can Utah scale this up? I definitely think he can scale this up. Like at the same time, I don't think he'll ever be like a primary option on an NBA team. But if
No.
he's like, I think if he's your sixth or seventh man, uh, maybe a couple years from now, I could definitely see him filling into that role. Like I want to read you his numbers per game from the Olympics this past summer, where it's really just him and Rui Hachimura on Team Japan. Like they're the two guys. He averaged 17 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, almost 2 steals and a block per game. So like that's a lot of, especially considering you see less lower point totals in international games. Like that's a lot of points for Utah. So I definitely think he can scale this up, just not to the mount where maybe I don't think he'll ever be like one of the primary options in units, but I think that he can definitely see his usage bump up, and I think he can keep up the efficiency. But yeah, like it's good to see Utah get a little more run. But then going back to what you were just saying, I have to admit, like, yes, this was always gonna be an extremely hard game to win, and I don't want to overreact because some of these guys, like Delano Banton, just had COVID or is coming out of protocol. So like he had a terrible game, but I don't really want to criticize it too much because I don't know what he was doing for the past 10 days, but he very likely had COVID. But Boucher and Svi, 6 of 19 and 4 of 12. That's not gonna cut it from two of
Man,
your guys.
like in the quick reaction I wrote, like this is what if Boucher was like the number one option on the Raptors, this is what that looks like.
I'd find it too
Because I think
team.
he was very, very aggressive with his shot early on. Like I think he entered this game thinking that, oh man, everybody's out. Like I'm next in the pecking order, so I got to take over and carry this team. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a nice sentiment, no doubt. It's a nice feeling. It's a nice thought. But when it comes to execution, it's a horrible idea because there's so many things that in a game like this you see that he can't do. And one of the ones that I was surprised at, when he's in transition, I don't think he knows when to lift off and attack the rim. Either he's leaving too early, which makes the defense easy, or he's leaving it too late and he's under the basket a lot. So his timing on just finishing is so off that I'm like, man, is this because just like why is this? Shouldn't you know, like, shouldn't you be coordinated enough to know like how to finish in transition against one other guy? Especially because he is supposed to be a transition sort of, big that thrives in these situations. Very early, some poor shot selection, to be honest with you, man. Like this fade he hits here was nice, but this came after he had missed like 2 other shots. And even the Cleveland Cavaliers announcers were like, well, I guess this guy thinks he's taking over. Like they were literally making fun of him like
Yeah.
for a better part of the game.
No, yeah, I think you hit like the nail on whatever the saying is in terms of why the Raptors didn't stand a chance in this game, because I didn't think it was even just Boucher who came in with the attitude of, all right, this is my chance. I'm going to be the hero. I think he did it, Svi did it, and Banton also did it early on. I thought Yuta was the only guy, and DJ Wilson, who we'll get to, but out of the regulars, Yuta was the only guy who was playing team basketball in any sense of the word. The other guys were just not passing. Like, I want to look into the passing stats for this game for the Raptors because they barely passed the ball. It was so much ISO. And yeah, it was like these guys just said, all right, it's my time to shine, and just weren't making the right play. They were just taking terrible, terrible shots. Boucher was definitely guilty of that. And the other thing is Svi shares that in common with Boucher, two terrible players in transition, just really bad decision makers who I think don't decide whether they're going to pass or shoot until it's too late, or it's too early and they already preemptively made the decision in transition. It's just like the game is way too fast for them in transition. Um, Shout out to the 44 people watching. You guys are the only real Raptors fans in the world.
44. Wow.
Who stood out to you in terms of the 10-day signings for the Raptors?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna go with Wilson was pretty good.
Really
I
good, I
enjoyed
thought.
his little play. I think just hey, in a game like this, probably in the back of your mind, you know it's gonna be a blowout, and you're trying to win your next 10-day contract. And he stood out because I think he took shots that were responsible and within the framework of something else that was going on the floor. I don't think he ever went rogue. He passed up a lot of opportunities when he maybe could have scored, and he said, "Oh, maybe this is not the right team thing to do." So, but in this game, he probably should have just gone up and like tried to score and put up like 25 points, which I think he could have if he had taken a different approach to this game. But his approach was much more steady and reserved, and I think that's what I liked about him, and also a very fluid player. Like it kind of reminded me a little bit of. I hate to make this comparison, like every time the side player, kind of like Sean Livingston in his own way, like nimble and like knows where he's on the court, kind of can navigate around defenders pretty easily. So yeah, I liked him. I don't know if he's going to survive, a second his 10-day contract, and we'll see him again. But this move was pretty nice too, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so he had a variety. Like he had a post up, he had a jumper, he had a fake, and stepped in for a couple. So he showed probably the most of everybody.
Yeah, he had 4 steals, and I think they all came in like the first quarter. So he was like everywhere defensively, and 4 assists as well. And like you talked about, some of the offense I just didn't expect to see from him in terms of like fadeaway jumpers and stuff like that. I thought he was the only guy who looked like an NBA player like the whole game. Other guys showed flashes, but he actually like fit right in. So I was honestly pretty impressed with DJ Wilson. Not to like overreact, but I think the reason that it's important to like shed light on these guys is because the trade deadline's coming up, and that's basically a time where you see a lot of shuffling around the league and a lot of 10 days being given out, new, contracts just changing hands, and some guys going to the G League and some guys getting their call up. So it's kind of like this is a showcase for a ton of these guys. And so it's cool. It's definitely cool to see some of these guys in a Raptors uniform, even if it's like also in a Cavs uniform, by the way. Kevin Pangos, by the way, who isn't a 10-day guy, but is a Canadian we should probably talk about. He hit like, how many threes did this guy hit? 5? No, sorry. 2 threes. Okay, 2 threes. But he had 6 points. That does not feel right. I thought Kevin Pangos was splashing it on us.
Hey, to round off on Wilson, I'd rather have him than Flynn.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, if
well,
I had to pick one of the two based on the limited I've seen, I definitely think this guy has more awareness and have the better decision making skill. Like right, this move too, like behind the back, go, fake somebody out, step back. And also, I love guys who shoot on one leg, so that's I'm biased
yeah.
towards that.
I can't get there yet, but I'll say that like trade deadline is definitely a time where the Raptors will probably be selling more contracts than they're taking back. So I could definitely see them giving some more guys like a Wilson or someone else who impresses with these 10 days a real contract or something because yeah, that's kind of what I said. The other guys had their moments, but DJ, he was actually good throughout. But like it is such small sample. It's kind of amazing that he had only 8 field goals tonight, considering who was around him and that the Raptors only had
Yeah, as I'm saying, he
8
could have
players.
had way more. He just chose to play a team game. Like if he had the same mentality as Boucher, he would have had 30.
Yeah. Yeah, rough Boucher game. What about on the Cavs side? Anyone that stood out to you? The only thing that stood out to me was that they were a little too happy with this win.
Oh man, they were ecstatic, and I was watching the Cleveland feed, and I think they maybe acknowledged maybe once that the Raptors were shorthanded, but they were commending the Cavs on their professionalism of showing up against a shorthanded team and not taking them lightly. And then they interviewed like Wade and at halftime, and he was like, yeah, they're shorthanded, but it doesn't matter. That makes them even tougher. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? Like we got like nobody. Like you're just beating the crap out of a G League team, and you're going out of your way to feel good about it. So I mean, I hate the Cavs. What did Kevin Love had? I mean, he was
Oh, he played
around.
well.
He,
Can
he
we
played
show
well. He
can we
always
sh-
kills us. So
can we show the
yeah,
Taco
what
Fall
is it?
clip?
Yeah.
uh I just
Oh,
wanna
by the way, the Cavs have this their own thing going on. Like how the Raptors used to have like a pizza thing. You score 100 points and
yeah.
get pizza. So I think they have some promotion with like taco where you get tacos in the arena.
Oh,
Like
nice.
score maybe 110 points, or Taco does something. There's some tacos being handed out at Cleveland.
Why
In the land.
why is Taco like the most beloved NBA player everywhere he goes? Is it just because he's 7'5"? Like,
Yeah,
is there anything more to it than that?
oh, man, I honestly, I think it's like he's almost like a circus act. You know what I mean? You just wheel him out,
Yeah,
circus, and here you
to the
go.
point where, like, I'm a little it's like, should they be cheering for him this much? It's, like, weird. Do we have the clip, though, of him just eating the Raptors on the glass? This is when he first came into the game after the crowd was cheering his name for, like, 10 minutes,
Yeah,
and it was just there's like every once in a while there's a moment in the NBA where it's really a man among boys. Like it really looks like a grown man is playing among boys, and this was definitely one of them. Giannis also had one of those moments on Christmas. I was just like, this guy is not in their league, but yeah, he was way too big for them. Before we go, last question is actually a comment from someone who said, Zarar, what is your level of faith in the Raptors this year? Are you letting
it hasn't really changed from the preseason. I think my call was 40 wins, and maybe a fight for
Yes.
the eighth or whatever the play-in spot is.
Yeah.
And I think I'll stick to that. I think when we come back, we'll make a bit of a run, and we'll be in that little block. I mean, level of faith. I mean, I don't know if that constitutes as faith to say that we're gonna make it to the ninth spot in the conference, but that's what I think how good the team is.
So you're not overreacting to only having 4 regular guys in
Nah,
the
man. I mean,
rotation?
what is this game should have been canceled, to be honest with you. I don't even know why we're
This
playing
is
this
what
game.
we're supposed to do,
Yeah.
we're supposed to overreact to
Yeah.
losses like this.
It's I think what this game is I'll tell you what this game is. Adam Silver's like, "Hey Cleveland, we got to cancel this game." And Cleveland's like, "Man, like the amount of money it's going to cost us to refund people and reschedule games, and
Yeah.
there's like another date cuz a police thing, we got a police clearance for the next game, there's COVID protocols. Can we just play it?" And he's like, "Fine." And so they played this game. That's what this game is.
Imagine paying money for this game.
Well,
That is
most
tough.
people did, yeah.
I mean, yeah. Imagine paying money for this game before or after you know what happened to the Raptors. That's really you're in bad shape then, but I mean
You should have a some sort of a refund situation for the fans that actually went to this game. If the NBA was
Yep.
truly like, you know, fair, I think that would be that would be a reasonable question to ask.
Yeah, but they're not fair. As we saw today in the Raptors, 144-99 loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers. The NBA is not fair. Real quick, we'll do the Can-Am Taxman of the night. I'm giving it to Yuta Watanabe. He tried his best, and that's more than a lot of guys could say. No, honestly, the level of effort tonight was pretty good all around from the Raptors. So, like early on, it was definitely noticeable. I definitely give them or commend them for that because
Yeah.
it was an entertaining at least start, and hopefully they can build off that for Tuesday's game. But yeah, Utah, he was the Raptors' best player tonight by quite a large margin. So he gets the Can-Am Taxman of the night. Visit canamtax.com for all your tax needs ahead of this tax season, which is coming up real quick. That's about it from
Hey,
us.
one regret that I have is that this was a great opportunity for Chris Boucher to build up his trade value.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one negative from this game that maybe lingers beyond this game, is that given that it's high likelihood this guy's going to be on the trade block, we didn't really show anybody anything on why they might be looking to acquire him, because it's games like these that kind of stick out. You know, he goes off at 35 or something and somebody's interest peaks a little bit. So bad bad outcome for us from that sense.
Yeah, if Masai manages to trade Boucher for anything of value, that's his greatest trick yet. Because at this point, the league should know what he is. Like the sample size is pretty big, but
Yeah.
it would be
It's the
amazing.
opposite, right? Because we were hoping that people will look at a small sample size of Boucher and kind of project out that he's better than who he is. But now the sample size has
Right.
caught up to him, and now people are like clearly seeing, oh man, there's no need to project. We have like ample data now to actually evaluate.
Yeah, they had a good opportunity to trade. If they had a good opportunity, it would have been after last season when he had a big sample of playing like as a starter and was actually good offensively. And things have just gone off the rails this year, unfortunately for him. But yeah, the Raptors, they'll be back in action Tuesday night the against the
Schedule out.
76ers at home in Toronto. Wow. I'm pretty curious to see what that's going to look like because I know it's still 50% capacity, but like everyone is. I'm amazed that restaurants are open in Toronto right now. Like everyone is too scared to leave the house. So I'll be pretty curious if the crowd actually shows up because Toronto is kind of going through it right now.
Hey man, as long
Anyways,
as schools stay open, I'm good.
good luck to you, man. I wish you the best of luck that they will open back up after the new year, but I am skeptical at least for a little while. Anyways, thanks to Don Yang for producing. Thank you to the 54 real Raptors fans in the entire world. You know who you are. You should be very proud of yourselves for sticking through this thing. And we'll be back Tuesday night for another version of the wrap up. All right, have a good night and Merry Christmas. And I think it's Kwanzaa. Happy Kwanzaa, right? Do you know?
Happy whatever you're celebrating, but Christmas, yeah, Christmas is the.
Unless you're Jewish, then no, I'm joking. I can say
Oh,
that because
ooh,
I'm a Jew.
ooh.
So
Okay.
shout out to the Jews as well. Shout out to all of you. Bye.